Hi, I'm Carole Robinson. Welcome to this edition of County Happenings, where we find out what's happening in the county by chatting with the one who knows, the county mayor, Roger Sanderson.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Glad to have you back again.
Yeah, all my travels.
Yeah. Are you about ready to settle down and just stay in Williamson County for a while, or have you got another trip?
Well, I
planned?
always feel like I need to travel outside of Williamson County, see what the rest of the world is like, so I can better appreciate what I have in Williamson
Are
County.
you getting your husband to buy into this philosophy? Does he like that idea? Are you trying to convince me or him?
He likes to travel. He likes to travel.
Well, you've got children outside the area too.
Yeah, and we've got family all over the country. We're heading up to Colorado in a week and a half
See?
for a wedding.
Well, we're
yeah.
glad to have you back. Have safe trips.
Well, thank
Lots
you.
is happening in Williamson County.
Yeah, I know. It's hard for me to break away because I'm so doggone nosy. I like to be a part of all the things that are happening. But once in a while, I got to keep my nose clean.
Well, you know, I told somebody the other day that here at the complex is where a lot of people pull, well, if you're in a county, you're pulling a lot of permits.
Mm-hmm.
New construction, many things go on over here.
There's all kinds of little cubbies where things go on.
Yes, there is. But clearly, the activity level in Williamson County as far as new building permits is up, and it's up significantly through the first 4 months of 2013. We're actually back into about 2005
Whoa.
activity.
Yeah.
The staff, the people here, they're all saying the same thing. What happened? What's causing all of this? And I think it's a combination, Carole, of a lot of things that's going on. I do acknowledge there's still people that need jobs and good jobs.
Yeah, we just heard the report, 5.3% went up a little bit.
Williamson County has been a little unique in that they're on the bottom side of that number.
Yeah.
But on a statewide basis, it's 2 good points above us. And that's indicative of all the activity that's going on in our community for new jobs, expansions of jobs, and people and businesses are still looking at our area to move here.
Wow. I mean, it is a great area, and I love it here, and I'm glad I'm here, but wow.
And it's a two-edged sword.
Yeah.
We've had this discussion many times about new people come, well, increase it. We have to build more schools.
Yeah, more roads.
More roads.
More parks, more.
And you cannot, and this is no slap at my friend and colleague Mayor Moore in Franklin. You can hardly drive from east to west without hitting some of the orange cones somewhere along the way.
Yes.
And just as bad from Brentwood down to Burwood if you're traveling, and that's our. And one large project is not even, one is finished on I-65 South.
But I'll be so glad when Mr. Shore starts that other project
The
down
other
there,
project
because
is
that is probably, I mean, I'm glad I don't have to do that every day.
Yeah.
But the few times that I have gotten caught in that, it's just hair pulling.
It is. It will test one's faith.
Yeah.
About or am I ever going to get to where I've got to get to? And of course, I understand what's happening, and you do too. Is all these projects that were on the drawing board came together kind of at one time. Now, some of them will begin to wrap up and finish, and that'll give a little relief, but we do apologize. I'm part of that process because we do need those improvements to our roads.
I know. What you say is, well, okay, the alternative is leave it the way it is, and then what we have.
And our so much of this, they're doing the infrastructure. You've got to give pats on the back to the Franklin and Brentwood and the city officials and through the state. They're putting in, the electrical and the sewer lines and the phone lines and all the things that get you into the 21st century, because some of the underground pipes are quite old.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and every now and then they rupture, as people found on Lewisburg Pike a couple weeks ago.
And when they do, it's very disruptive. And all you're doing then is just fixing that one little area. So bear with everyone. We'll get there. But things are happening. Businesses are looking at our area. A couple of weeks ago, we had a new business that had a ribbon cutting that moved here from the West End area over in the Cool Springs area. It's another healthcare IT company. We've been doing focus meetings, Carole, for the last 2 or 3 months, meeting with different corporate people, HR people, and this is being run through the chamber and Matt Largent and his group. They've had Dr. Moore and Brentwood representatives there and myself sitting there. And the question we've been asking is, how do you want Franklin to look in 2040 or 2025? We broke them down.
You have to have a vision to reach to.
And it's easy for you and so many of us that have lived here for the last 25 to 30 years or have lived here your whole life to realize in 1990, 91, there wasn't anything in Cool Springs. It was just empty fields. And the Southwest,
I do remember.
the Southwest water tower.
And the Quicksack.
And the Quicksack, that's right. And that whole area since mid-1990s had just completely transformed into something totally different.
And who envisioned that?
I think there were people that thought that things like that would happen, but clearly you can see it was master planned. Even when they did their best, they didn't plan for all of the traffic and all of the road improvements. Anyway, so we're asking these people because a study just recently came out. There's a lot of regional questions going on now. How do we get people from Nashville to Spring Hill or Murray County? How do we get people from Rutherford County to Franklin, et cetera, et cetera? Mostly geared around how do we handle all of this infrastructure that we know we need and can't afford. So everything from bus service to van service to light rail is on the table. And the reason it's on the table, the people that do those numbers are saying in the year 2040, which is 26 years, 27 years away, we will have 1 million more people in Middle Tennessee. Now that's Wilson, Davidson, Rutherford, Williamson, gets a little bit of Murray, but it's basically those 8 core counties. 1 million more people will be living in Middle Tennessee in 2040 than are here today. Other interesting data that's come out of that Rutherford County and Williamson County will be the size of Davidson County in 2040.
Wow. Now is Davidson County?
Oh, they're still growing.
They're going to still grow too?
Just trying to run some parallels and so that you and I can understand what's out there. As you know, because we've talked about it several times here on the show, you live in the unincorporated area like I do. You're even more remote than I am. And you love that.
I love it.
And one of the things that we have done over the last 2 and 3 years, really when the recession was going on, we could gear up to start doing some serious planning and finish it, and we did, and we came out and voted on. We've got a new comprehensive land plan. The first one that we'd really given serious thought, took 2 years to do it, since 1988. And we heard over and over and over in these public meetings we have, leave the county alone. Let the growth occur where the infrastructure is
around 65.
Around where there's sewer and water and et cetera, et cetera. And that occurs within your city municipalities. Interesting, as you know, the county as a whole was the fastest growing county in the state of Tennessee for a 10-year window between 2000 and 2010. The unincorporated, that part that's not in those 6 cities that we have, just didn't grow.
Yeah.
just did not grow. 100 people, 100 permits, any way you want to look at it. Now, there was some annexation, but very little during this last 10 years because of the economy. Cities weren't expanding as much as they did, but you had some. But isn't it interesting that the county as a whole, with your cities, the fastest growing, the county in the unincorporated area remain constant, and very few counties can say that. And that's
which
done
is
by the
kind
growth.
of part of the comprehensive plan
Yes.
to maintain that. Although I do have to say, out our way now, as I'm driving up and down Pinewood Road and some of the country roads, I would say a bulk of those permits that are being pulled are out there. There's a lot of new home construction.
And I know.
I mean, a lot for us, you know.
A lot for this county. I mean, if you figure our unincorporated permit, our unincorporated permits are up about 25% over this same time last year. Now, that growth, there's a lot of county property right at the edge or the outskirts of the city limits, because people get as close as they can so they can get to the grocery store and the hospitals and stuff like that, and get to make those choices. But they are in the county, but that's where a lot of growth is occurring too. But in those rural areas, interesting, our people said, leave it rural, leave it 5 acres, 2,500 acres, whatever is out there, protect that. So the commission has voted on that, and so for the next 26 years, unless something else happens, and we won't even go back other than to tweak some of the errors that we have to do, and we do make mistakes.
Well, and issues come up that you didn't foresee.
That's exactly right. So you'll have to tweak that, but I seriously doubt we'll go back and redo this comprehensive plan for another 10 years.
Yeah, it's pretty thorough, and I like the way you allowed communities, the villages, to develop their own additional plans in above and beyond.
You know, the Leapers Fork, the Arringtons, the Triunes area. Eventually, we'll get to doing more of the grassland. What do you really want for your little community?
Right.
And of course, everybody wants to put the gate up and say keep everybody out, but the traffic won't allow that.
Right. It's not realistic.
And it's not realistic. So you have to come up with ways to address those. And, excuse me, and you can't always just put up a traffic light.
Right.
That's not always the answer. All that does is stop traffic, and then
it starts again.
And it starts again. So you really have to. Schools. I didn't always think this way. I never thought that I would have to deal with transportation issues the way we have to deal with them today. With our cars becoming more efficient, getting better mileage, you get less tax dollars off the gas tax, which is a good thing.
Exactly.
And so we increase the mileage.
But we don't like not having that much money.
But we don't have any. And you know, one of the major companies that have is promoting and pushing and hiring a lot of our people, they don't use any gas.
Yeah.
They call electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And they get to drive on the roads, and those roads are paid by most of those roads are paid by some kind of a tax, gasoline tax.
Right.
It's federal level or
and I don't really understand that, because they have to buy the electricity. So at some point, something, either from what they buy, the electricity, that needs to be remedied.
And they are looking at it but there's not enough electric cars right now to make a dent in the overall.
I don't see it in the future.
It's coming though, but we've got to. But the ones you've got vehicles that use a combination of electricity and gasoline.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with all that? This show's about what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, I can't fix that problem.
Yeah.
But I can tell you it is happening, because we can't always add lanes to the interstate.
Yeah, we can't be all concrete.
We can't be all concrete. We love our vehicles. There's a vast majority of the traffic. Just 10 and 15 years ago, the traffic patterns to go to work were to leave Williamson County, go to Davidson County, for the most part. Today, because of the growth of Cool Springs, Brentwood, Franklin, Spring Hill, they're coming in. 27% of the people are coming into our county on a morning commute, we've got bus service now from the Spring Hill, Thompson Station area, makes a stop in Franklin, and it makes a stop on Concord Road at the Civitan Ballpark. There's about there's 3 of those buses in the morning, 3 different buses in the morning. Those 3 buses go back in the afternoon. If you work at 8 o'clock, if you need to be at job at 8 o'clock, and you finish your job about 4:30, one of those buses can take you to town and bring you back, and you can park your car at one of the 3 sites to get to work. Vanderbilt employees, state employees, large corporations in Davidson County. As Dr. Wright Pinson up at Vanderbilt told me, he said, it is cheaper for us to give our employees a card that allows them to ride the bus in the morning on those fixed hourly jobs than to build another parking garage.
Right.
And
where are they going to build it in that area anyway?
Where are they going to build it? And you got to remember, it takes the employees to make this 20,000 employee company go, but it's the customers, you and I, that go there to use the services, and if there is no parking.
Exactly, because it's all employee.
And then the operation over at to Hunter's off Armory Drive, the old Hickory, that's not Hickory Hollow Mall. What is that mall called on?
Royal, no. Oak.
Anyway, it's on
12 Oaks.
Yep.
Or something like that. 100 Oaks.
Yeah, you're just 88 short.
Yeah.
100 Oaks Mall. Well, that's a whole campus now of nothing but services. And then, of course, they're wanting to build another 200,000 square foot building down in the Franklin area to help service some of this area from Murray and Rutherford and Williamson County. My point is, they're buying their employees a card to get on, and it's a monthly card, and it's much cheaper for them to do that. Of course, Vanderbilt can write it off as a business expense and et cetera. We have the state of Tennessee doing the same thing, and we have some corporations doing that. Now, the buses aren't totally free for the employees. They still have to kick in some, but how many more of those buses is it going to take? And they're deadheaded. When they leave Davidson County to come down and start their run in the morning, there's nobody riding them. So we're working, are there employees that could go to Music City and we could come down here and go to their place of employment? We've got 3 of those. Rutherford County's got over 12.
Wow.
Clarksville started up a service. Wilson County, and the idea is to bring them into Nashville for those jobs that are needed into the Nashville. And they give them emergency service. If you got there and you had a sickness at home, you need to get back, they're making provisions for that. Debbie Henry, TMA, over 100 vans currently are running that they'll give you the keys to. You and 8 or 10 other people ride that van to your place. Now that service is provided out of here, but those vans are going east and west and north and south to different businesses. Those 10 people have the use of that van. One person is assigned the van, take it home, keep it fueled up, have the maintenance done on it, and they collectively pay for the use of that van. Very cheap way to get around.
Yeah.
So there's 100 of those running all over Middle Tennessee. And of course, we don't have rail service here for pedestrian use, but it's very big up in the Lebanon area. Now, does it pay its way? No way. But what it does do, it gets people off the road so the rest of us can get to and from that need to get to and from.
Or don't have access to that.
But the reason I was telling that story, and I got a little sidetracked, which is not unusual, recently, I feel like the old Jack Benny show here. I just expect the duck to drop down any time on the Groucho Marx show. They might edit that. But recently we were talking about, we have 33,000 children going to school every day.
I know, it boggles my mind.
All right.
A whole little city there.
That's right. It's bigger than Fairview.
Yeah, 8,000 people in Fairview.
And 33,000 children. So we asked Dr. Looney, give us some numbers of how many children ride the bus. About 2/3 ride the bus, to and from.
So there's more traffic.
So a third of those children do not ride those buses.
And I would venture to guess not a whole lot are walking.
And so I thought internally, in my simple mind, that would be those juniors and seniors, because it's something prestigious to drive a vehicle to work, to school and park. I remember my three. I was less than a half a mile from the school, and all three of them it took them longer to get in the car to get back into the parking lot in the school than it did just to walk. And they did that a couple of times. So finally, a light bulb went off, so I can sleep in another 20 minutes and not have to get in line. But my children are a little slow sometimes to figure out things. But you let them go through this.
It's lucky only a couple of them live here.
And so I thought, well, it was high school children.
No. Have you been to the elementary schools?
Bingo. That's exactly what somebody's told me.
Yeah.
You know,
the lines are along the road out the school.
And they're 3 deep,
Yep.
and people are picking up their children. And so is that because of activities that the children, what could we do to better influence people? Do we need to put Wi-Fi on those buses? Do we need to put TVs on those buses that would entertain those? I understand they have no air conditioning. I understand in those hot days. Most of the children now have cell phones, so maybe the answer is Wi-Fi. I know we're kind of doing a little Buck Rogers,
I think with a lot of the moms though, it's the bus rides are a little too long for the kids. In some, and too long is relative. Now my kids were on the bus for an hour, and they did take the bus. But
my point is we're getting congestion.
Exactly.
You go to.
It's just more cars on the road.
That's right. And if we could eliminate some of that, make it easier for everyone, because we do have quite of an investment of school buses in Williamson County and Franklin Special School District. I guess we've got 200 to 250 school buses that run all over our county, and so the more children we could get in. I just thought that was interesting. We're trying to figure out some other alternative solutions rather than building more pavement, and it is not always easy.
No, because we like our cars way too
love
much.
our
We
cars.
like our independence, and cars are a big part of that.
I think the boys are going to cut us off in a few
Goodness.
minutes. You haven't
We've
got to
look
the
at
first
this list
thing.
here, Budget. Speaking of liking our cars and our building roads, July's coming up fast.
It is. First Monday in July is when the county commission votes on the budget. For all intent and purposes, we're finished with it. We'll make some more tweaks. We'll do some things, but the budget itself has been put to bed. We just have not pulled the covers up over it totally.
And it's $420 million.
$420 million. 260 of that goes to public education. We've always maintained about 62 to 64% of the taxpayers' money that we take on property taxes goes back to public education, and we're right on that number.
And no tax increase?
No tax increase. The commissioners, along with the citizens such as yourself, were very adamant. No tax increase. We should be okay next year. Also, if the economy continues to go, now we may have to build some schools, but if the economy continues to do what we're doing, because our sales tax
is going up.
It's about 6 to 6.5% over what it was last year.
No, that's good.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And what about the you said there was $4 million in capital improvements going on. What are some of the things that are happening with that? And one of them is on the county side. There's senior citizens.
Yes, planning on see if we can get a senior citizen built. It's not the money to do it, the building. It's the money to do some renderings and what do we need to have. The J.L. Clay Senior Citizen at the corner of Ridge Street and Hillsborough Road is a county-owned facility. The J.L. Clay Senior Citizens uses about 150, 200 people. The facility doesn't have any parking to speak of. I know you know that. and it could stand some real improvement on the inside as far as mobility for them to get around on a safely basis. And we feel like that there's a lot more people that would come, and that's a very important part of our population, certainly in Franklin, to entertain it. But we're a couple of years away from doing it. We're starting that process now. The other capital needs, the schools asked for $9 million. We cut their request, and it was a request they asked for. We cut that down to $4 million. So much of that is going for repairs on roof, parking lot issues, all of those things that we'll borrow money to help to offset that. And there's always an air conditioner going out.
Right.
There's always a roof that needs repair. And of course, there's some vehicles in there. On the county side, we asked, I think our number, the department heads, was around 9 or 10 million. Also, we cut it to 4 million, kind of give equal share. Again, ours is roofs. So many of our buildings, not so in the schools, but so many of the county buildings are ex-school buildings.
Right.
We take them back
So
over.
they're older than the schools.
So we have to maintain them. And I don't have to tell you, if you're watching this show, heating and cooling, electrical needs, gasoline costs,
No, that's just
all of
keeps
those
going
things
up.
just going up, and that's part of the operation. But I'm excited that we've been able
Yeah.
to.
And that J.L. Clay thing, or the senior center, that's on the old BGA campus.
Yes, ma'am.
The,
I forgot the name, Clover or something. It's the building that it got in such
yeah, they've tried so hard to keep.
couldn't save it. It was bad.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we didn't do as good a job of protecting the roof as we needed to. But anyway, it got to the point it was going to cost way much. I mean, the whole roof would just collapsed on us. And we're going to look at the OBGA. Some of the people call it the OBGA library. If you go back 30, 40, 50 years, they call it the OBGA gym.
Yeah.
And it's the second oldest gym in the state of Tennessee. Now, it's not active, but we're going to take that and look at that, revamping it, living within the footprint that there, other than maybe a new entrance or something to come in and look at a community theater, not to compete with the downtown Franklin Theater. This is for our schools and for our after school program. Maybe I just answered my own question about traffic. You know, those people that need a vineyard and that's up to 250 to 300 people. We think we can do that, but until some folks get in there and
Yeah, and there's a lot of community organizations like the Boys and Girls Club and organizations like that can use it.
well, just school plays. There's never enough.
Exactly. There's
And
always
our-
complaint
and
that
and our own Parks and Rec have a whole division, never
Right.
enough room.
right. They're borrowing schools and they have to balance with the school activities.
All of us found out, I know we got to go. All of us found out when they did the improvements to Hillsborough what a music venue can do.
Yeah, that's the music area too.
That is it.
Yeah. Well, now we know what's happening in Williamson County. See you next time.